So, it's pretty common to make a character and not be able to connect a story to them. Luckily, it doesn't happen to me a lot, but it still happens. I mean, I got like 90 OCs. A few of them are bound to not have stories. But I always feel really bad for not being able to use them like I'd like to. So, I decided I'm gonna make a series dedicated to these characters with no stories. I only have 4 of them, but I mean, that's enough for a series, right? Will I be able to stick to it? We'll see. Probably not. Alright, let's start with Raven. She's a robot. She is by far my most complicated OC design. I made her at a time where I thought that I needed to be making super detailed art for it to be good art. And because of that, I felt like my art at the time was like less superior because of it. But really, that's not true at all. Your art could be really stylized, really simple, or really detailed and really realistic. Just the thing about art is what kind of vibe it gives off. You need that certain vibe for it to be good. And you could do that with any sort of art style, you just have to know how to do it. And I mean, you can't really get lessons on that, it's just something that you naturally wind up doing somehow. I don't know, I'm not a very good art teacher. I'm a good ramble about art person. Alright, hey, let's go back to talking about her. Okay, so she's a robot. I have a bit of her backstory actually, but that doesn't count because that's barely anything. That's just how she gets into the situation she's in. That's not the actual story. So, she was made by a scientist who lived in seclusion on an island she bought, which islands are surprisingly cheaper than you'd think. So, she did that. The scientist made her because she was lonely and wanted someone to talk to, but had some pretty severe anxiety and didn't feel comfortable talking to actual people. So she built one. So, like, iconic, I guess. And she talked to Raven, and Raven helped her around the house and did errands and stuff like that. Raven didn't have a voice box because she wasn't made with the intent of speaking back. But if you press a button on her chest, she plays music through the carvings that are all up on her chest too. So the scientist would download her favorite music to Raven and play her like a radio. Over time, the scientist wanted to give Raven the ability to have her own thoughts and feelings because she started to really care about her a lot, more than just someone to ramble to or someone to help her with the house. She wanted Raven to actually have a soul and be able to express herself. Because she saw just like the beauty in Raven, which was really sweet. So she started working on that. But, I mean, giving a robot its own personality is very hard to do. I made this concept and this character before Sophie, the creepy ass robot, was made. So, yeah. Yeah, she was trying so hard to give Raven a soul, but the scientist started getting old, and Raven was making very little progress. It was like there was something missing with her. And one day, the scientist collapsed. So Raven carried her to the bed, which was something she was programmed to do sometimes, whenever the scientist didn't have any energy to go there herself whenever she got older, or whenever she was younger and just lazy. But as she laid there dying, Raven reached over and grabbed her hand. And that's something that she was never programmed to do. And the scientists realized that it finally worked. Raven did that on her own. And she smiled at her creation that was now complete and passed away. The thing is, though, Raven is now stranded on this island with this cool scientist hut and no one to share it with. She has no voice and no way of getting out. She can finally feel, and the first thing she feels is loneliness and sorrow, because her best friend and the only person she's ever cared about is gone, now that she's able to express her feelings back. So yeah, that's cool. Why'd I do that? I just made myself sad. I really like her design that I gave her. Her hair is supposed to have that curl that cheap wigs have because she didn't grow it out or anything, she's a robot. And her body kind of resembles bones in a way. Like, she got those things that are a little like ribs and you can see pipes in her arms that are like arm bones. I also kept in mind mobility, so she has places that can bend that are similar to normal humans' joints. I also like that some of the carvings on her chest looks like a smiley face with a mustache. I didn't intend that the first time I drew her, but I noticed later on and I thought it was kind of cute. Something else that's cool is, since the scientist passed, Raven now, whenever she's doing anything, she presses a button and plays the scientist's old music that she now loves. And it's like a reminder of her best friend. So that's kind of cute and very, very, very sad. Why did I do that? Also, she has a red light in her face that lets you know when she's overheating, and you can see it through the carvings on her cheek. So it's kind of like she could blush, because whenever she overheats, she lights up. And whenever she's embarrassed, she overheats. One thing too is, when I first drew her, I thought that since she was a robot, she'd have to be gray like metal, and I've always been way too enthusiastic about colors, so what she does is she likes to paint on herself, so she's covered in pretty colors and paintings. Which is a cool idea, but also she's so detailed already, I'm just covering it up. And also now I realize I don't need to make the robot metal colored. I mean, you could paint metal. Scientists could probably paint the metal. I don't know. I made her originally because me and a friend of mine who I don't even talk to anymore, so I can't do anything with Raven considering that story. We did that thing where we both make an OC without telling the other person anything about them until we're both done. And then we try to make a story connecting the two. She made a ballerina mermaid named Claudine whose lower half was a jellyfish, and I made a robot who's not waterproof. So that kind of sucked for the two of them. Ah, what's up with my throat? But we did try a little bit to make it work. But I have so many stories that I want to work on that work really well and are very developed. So I didn't want to be focusing on the story that's just frustrating to me because I can't piece it together. And she wasn't really the OC making type, so the story just kind of floundered into nothing. But I still love Raven with all of my heart, and I can't come up with a single idea for her that I like. I also have a few other robot and android characters, and two of them are already pretty similar. And every time I have an idea for a robot character, it doesn't fit with Raven the way I'd like it to, so I wind up making another OC for that instead. But she was my first robot character, and now I have at least 5 more because of that. She has such a cool design and concept, and I don't want to abandon her. But I can't use her for much other than little illustrations here and there. But I mean, at least I was able to share her with you guys. Okay, so that's Raven. Thanks for watching, but wait a second, I got something to plug for once. I made a Patreon. I put a link in the description if you're interested in it. And if you become my Patreon, you get to see the sketches and scripts for my webcomic, Pepto Abysmal. You can also get early access to future pages and scripts for Pepto, and early access for other comics I'm working on but haven't published. Because what I'm thinking for those is I'm going to publish them once I have like a whole chapter done, or a lot of it done, so that I don't have to stick to that consistent schedule that I'm doing with Pepto, so that I don't wind up feeling obligated to just abandon Pepto and work on these other ones. These other ones are just whenever I want to break from Pepto, but still want to work on something that's similar to like a comic. One of the stories I'm making actually is one that's completely done with no pin pressure. Because a lot of times I want to draw, but I don't have pin pressure. Because for some reason, fucking Say does not like to work with me. So now I have an excuse to draw with no pin pressure. So I'm excited for that. You can also get your name at the end of my videos if you'd like that. And commissions, because I'm very, very bad at... This is my first Patreon, so I'm just playing it by ear, but if there's anything else you guys would be interested in me putting on there, let me know. I was thinking about doing a video that shows how I make my videos, like what orders I do things in. Do I do the speed paints first? Do I do the voiceover first? How do I do it? Pretty much, how do I edit it? Very badly, that's how. Or just like anything extra that you'd want to see. But, thanks for listening through this plug. Wow, you did it. I don't usually do these things because I always skip plugs for other people's videos. Uh, love you, Booth. Bye.